This state is Virginia, right next to Washington, D.C., and in particular, its capital city, Richmond. Richmond is a former industrial city. Here, a quarter of the population live beneath the poverty threshold. Richmond also holds an unfortunate record. This city has one of the highest rates of eviction in the United States. There are 3,000 evictions per year. That's 25 times more than in Paris. The evictions are a routine job for Officer Loyal from the sheriff's office. Several times a week, he distributes these yellow documents.
Hey, how are you? Does Candace live here? Okay. This was a notice that I've placed on your door. It's an eviction notice. You need to get in touch with the the manager here, if you feel that's incorrect, but we set an eviction for August the 7th at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I talked to her already.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
In the state of Virginia, the law is strict. If the rent is late by 5 days, the landlord has the right to begin the eviction process. A few weeks later, the tenant receives a notice on their door.
Do you know what it is?
I know what it is.
You have only 1 week to get out.
Yeah,
It's not a lot.
I know. Well, we'll figure it out. I already know what.
Sometimes, carried away by his own enthusiasm, Officer Loyal is not always accurate.
Individual's name. Hey, how are you? Are you
No,
does she live here?
no, this is out me. It's me.
This woman, who has nothing to feel guilty about, got away with nothing more than a fright.
I'm sorry, ma'am, we're at the wrong apartment. Thank you.
The threatened tenants have 1 week to settle their debts. Otherwise, they face eviction by force. And Officer Loyal does not show much sympathy. This morning, he and his colleague must evict the person that lives in this house.
Sheriff's office!
And just like arresting a dangerous criminal,
Sheriff's office!
they enter the home armed with guns.
Take that.
Okay.
Sheriff's office!
Right now, the tenant is not at home, and clearly, he's not had time to vacate the premises.
Mr. Chenault, you're okay to change the locks out.
As for the landlord, he immediately reclaims his property. On average in France, it takes 1.5 years to evict someone, whilst here, it happens in almost an instant. In less than 2 months, everything is settled.
Check everything?
I'm checking the windows now
Why?
to make sure the house is secure.
The tenant has just arrived and is in shock. She had been renting the house for 7 years. A single mother to a grown-up daughter, she works, but has frequently struggled to make ends meet. She can only pick up her belongings the next day. Otherwise, everything will go to the junkyard at her expense.
I've been here for 7 years. You know, I don't watch.
It's just going to be easier on you, like the vehicle that's in the backyard or whatever, if you have it removed, because if he has a tow company remove it, then that's an added expense that you'd be looking at.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's fine.
Do you think all this is a little bit harsh?
Do I think it's harsh? No, he got to do what he got to do, and I got to do what I got to do.
And where are you going to sleep?
Where am I going to sleep?
Yeah.
I can sleep in the hotel if I need to.
The hotel?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
You too.
She's thrown out on the streets with no room for negotiation.
This is the only way to make the tenant move?
That's up to her, if that's the only way. She said she would move before this. Didn't move.
Maybe she had nowhere to go.
You know, she never did say that to me.
There are around 10 evictions just like this one every day in Richmond. As a consequence of this express justice, budget hotels on the outskirts of the city have become a refuge for those who've been kicked out of their homes. Some people stay there for a very long time. This is the case for David, a 38-year-old gardener.
What's going on, man? Same old, new day.
David has lived in this motel since his eviction 2 years ago. At the weekend, this divorced father's children come to stay over in his 10-square-meter room, for which he pays 1,300 euros a month.
This is it, man. This is our bedroom, living room, family room, every room. This is the little kitchen, which I cooked her eggs last night and made hamburgers, so I ain't cleaned the dishes yet. You know, we hung out, played video games. And bathroom, you know, got a shower, but that's about all.
During the week, David shares this single room, which is bursting with things, with his new partner.
Is it not too hard to live for 2 years here?
Oh man, I'm like cramped, you know, like obviously if you put two people in the same room for a long enough time, you're gonna bump heads and have arguments and stuff.
His girlfriend has a stable job in the insurance business. As a couple, they could buy themselves a bigger and less expensive apartment, yet they remain trapped in this tiny room because their past eviction continues to haunt them.
But at the time, she was trying at first, and then you get so beat down by going to places and stuff, and they're not giving you a place because they're like, oh, you had an eviction. It's shows that you didn't pay this like 2 months or something like that, and it definitely was detrimental to it. You know, there was no way of getting anywhere.
It is almost unthinkable in Europe. But here, landlords are able to access the past of bad tenants with a few simple clicks. A systematic surveillance that has been denounced by Martin Vegbright, a lawyer and defense attorney for tenants.
So, this database is a public database. I mean, anyone can go on to this database and look at it, and you can search by name. So, let's try a common American name. Here we go. Oh, Mary Gillespie. Okay. There we go. And you can see 5 unlawful detainers. Let's see.
10 years ago, this tenant had a series of late payments. Despite being small amounts, like this $291, they can bear heavy consequences.
So if I'm a landlord, I can look at that and say, well, that was 10 years ago, but I think she's too much of a risk. I don't want to rent to her. If anything bad happens to you, whether it's, you get your hours cut back at work, whether you break an ankle and you're off work for a month, whether you got that car repair bill or that hospital bill or anything that just throws your budget off slightly, you better catch up real quick or you're going to have a judgment of possession against you and get evicted. So the tenant really is living under the sword of Damocles.
With such a system, it's difficult to imagine how David could one day leave his motel and buy himself an apartment in which he could properly house his children.